we've identified some problems. We've brainstormed some solutions. As we step into this, what is the next part of the process?
At this point, you got to start executing and implementing. So there's a couple of different frameworks for this. What I usually look at is I look at the strengths that we have to be able to implement solutions, the weaknesses that are there. Maybe we don't have the right manpower to be able to implement this right now. Or maybe the person who does isn't capable of doing that. Maybe their skill set doesn't match what it is we're looking for. But then there's opportunities. So here's an opportunity. We have John over in this other department. He's actually really good at that. Could this be something that he could take on? Is he interested in promoting? Is he interested in additional work? So there's an opportunity to help John fill a problem that you have. And then you have to look at threats as well. So it's, SWOT analysis, which is an analysis I think that's pretty common. So you look at your threats. We've already done that because we've rev teamed it. What's the problem? What could it go wrong? And then what you can do from there is you can start looking at what resources I need to bring in. So what do I have? Here's the money that we have to go into this. Here's the time. Here's the technological resources we have available. Here's the people and the money that we have available. And so what do we need to do? And start working towards those solutions and then implementing as quickly and efficiently as you can.
As part of this process, as you're bringing other people in and you're executing, you talk about making the connections. What do you mean by that?
I mean that this goes back to what I said earlier. We as leaders often think that we need to do everything. Right? That we need to solve every problem, that we need to be involved in every little interaction. We don't. In fact, that just becomes a bottleneck and a hindrance to what could be produced. So what I'm saying about making the connections is figuring out A, what needs to be done, and then B, who needs to do it. And it shouldn't be you. Probably in large part, it's not going to be you at all. And I've struggled with this because I care so much about what I put out into the world that I want it to be done just right. And so I subscribe to the mentality, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. That isn't true. That's a lie. If you want it done right, the right person has to do it. And the right person is out there. Now, if you don't have that person on your team, that's your fault. Okay, that doesn't mean they don't exist. It means you don't have them on your team and you need to get those people on your team. Or maybe they are and you haven't provided the training and resources they need. That's making the connections. So here's the problem. Here's the elements and the tasks that need to be done. And then I start delegating, well, this person can do this person can do this. Here's how they're going to communicate and work together. Here's how we're going to know if it's working. Here's the deadlines we need to hit. Here's when I want to be communicated with about where we are on track with this thing, and really give yourself the best chance of success.
Yeah. So you mentioned this, being a leader doesn't mean that you have to do everything. It means that you make sure everything gets done. So how have you done this in your leadership roles?
Yeah, so we got to talk about this too, because there's leadership and then there's management. So managing a task or even managing a group of people doesn't necessarily equate to leadership, right? If I'm just telling you, do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, that's management. There's nothing wrong with it. I think sometimes management gets a bad rap. Things need to be managed. So you need to manage those or have somebody who will. Leadership to me is more about empowering and inspiring other people. So that means you need to give your, what I call commander's intent, what the intent is, what the purpose is, and then you start coming up with ways to deal with it. And then you empower people to make great decisions. And then if they don't, you train them. If they do, you honor and acknowledge that. So your question was, how have I done this in my own life?
Is there a recent example of this where you went, yep, I was there. I felt like I had to do it all. It was riding on my shoulders, but I knew that I wasn't the right person.
Yeah. So I recently, it's been a little over a year now, brought on somebody that is responsible for acquiring podcast guests, for guest outreach, for the logistics of my travel and coordinating with these guests, and then also following up with our guests as well. And the caliber of guests that we've had on the podcast in the past year, because I've brought somebody who's very, very good at this on, has gone from here, and it's always been good, to next level. And in 2022, it will continue to go to next level. The other thing that she's allowed me to do is to free up all of the headache and all of the nightmare about logistics with having podcast guests here or me traveling like I am here in Nashville. She handles all of that so I can focus on putting out the best possible product that I can. That's really hard to do because you need to let it go and you also need to pay that person. And that's something a lot of leaders struggle with. It's like, oh, I got to pay this person. Yes, it's not, I wouldn't even consider it paying. You have to invest in other people. If you do that, an investment it will be returned to you if it's a good investment and if you're prudent about the investments that you're making. So yeah, bringing the right people on. I've got, that's been a big push for me over the past couple of years now. I've got my podcast editor. I've got 2 different designers now that are working with us. I've got Brandy, who manages the podcast and the logistics and securing podcast guests and going on other podcasts. I've got an event planner. Like, these are things I used to do myself, and I'm busy. I don't even know how I did it. Well, I actually do. I was decent at all of them, not great at any one of them. And now I'm empowering, by the way, other people to be able to step into these roles so I can do what I want to do and what I'm good at, and they can do what they want to do and what they're good at.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners right now are going, yep, I know I need to make that higher because that's not something I'm great at. I don't like doing it. I'm not great at it.
Right.
And I could pay someone who could do this a lot better, who'd really love it. And that could be a game changer for my business.
There's another way that works into the framework that we're talking about when it comes to that example. A lot of the times you might say to yourself, well, I know I need to make this higher. I need to bring on a network manager or an HR person or something. But I can't really bring them on full time right now. Like, that's an issue that I see a lot of people have. There's general contractors. You might be able to find a way to bring people on to solve problems that you have without having to have all of the financial cost and burden that comes with it.
Yeah. That's a good reminder. There's a lot of avenues out there, and with technology these days, there's so many more options than there used to be.
Right. Yeah, we've got programs that we use. One of the things that we do is we have a digital brotherhood. So we've got about 1,100 guys in there, and we're all connecting digitally on a weekly basis, even daily. We're talking about challenges and assignments that we offer, and we're meeting and we're holding each other accountable. And for a long time, I thought to myself, man, I just really need to build my own platform, because I recognized that some of the other platforms were missing components and things like that. And then what I realized is I just didn't find the right tool. Like, I could go out and spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on building my own technology and building my own app, or I can do it with that program, spend a little time. In fact, I didn't even do it. See, this is going to sound weird. I try not to do anything. Okay, I got to make sure everything gets done, but I try not to do anything. And I know it sounds weird, but it's so much more efficient. Like, all I want to do is podcast, period. So this is what I did when we were looking for the solution. There's a gentleman in our Iron Council, our brotherhood, who I know has experience in working with some of these other solutions and things like that were out there. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'd like to hire you to look at all of these solutions and test them all and then tell me which one is best. Great. Done. So he did it. We found another platform, and that platform is 98% of the way there. The other 2% is just not worth the cost. That's a decision I've had to make.
That's incredible. And you just delegated that and said, hey, I'm not great at this. Someone else can do this faster, better, cheaper than my time spent on this project. That's an important reminder as leaders enter this year and try to approach all their goals.
And it wasn't even an employee. It was somebody that was in our – so, look, I gave him an opportunity to do something he enjoys doing, made a little extra money, was busy, added value. Now he probably sees – every time he logs in, he's like, yeah, we log in because of me. So
it feels good.
It feels good. And I'm a leader. I want to empower people. I want to give them opportunities to lead themselves and other people.